Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion. Saturday, August the 8th, 2020. Hope your weekend is going well. Luckily, we don't have a lot to talk about, so this will be fairly short. An area in the Eastern Pacific, Invest Area 91E, well on its way to becoming a tropical depression. I'll show you that. A couple of areas to watch in the Atlantic, but we are just in the, everybody has been seated in the auditorium, and the lights have flickered. They flicker the lights before a show. You ever see that? You go to a play or maybe you go to an opera. We all go to the opera, right? And they do. They blink the lights and they let you know, especially at intermission, that it's getting ready to start. Take your seats. The show is about to start. That's where we are. It's coming. For now, though, things are relatively quiet in the Atlantic. This is Invest Area 91E. The Caribbean and Gulf are nice and free and clear of any issues. Tropical wave over here that will eventually make its way through the islands. There's a little tropical disturbance already moving through the islands today. There's Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago down here. St. Vincent, Grenada, the Grenadines, etc. Probably getting some showers and storms and some gusty winds today. This other system out here, not much fanfare with it. Still some dry air instability. Limitations. That's a good word in the Atlantic right now. And then I'm really surprised, I got to be honest with you, that this didn't get outlooked, as we call it, at the 2 p.m. tropical weather outlook. That's pretty amazing. And I saw a note real quick from one of our patrons on Patreon, Scott from Raleigh, and he was asking about this little cloud feature right here. He sent a screenshot. It looked like a radar image, but this satellite imagery here, infrared satellite, picks up cloud temperatures, and in this case, the way Levi Cowan at Tropical Tidbits has done his color scale, the brighter the colors, for the most part, the higher the clouds are in the atmosphere. When those clouds are higher, they're colder, and we call that infrared temperature. And Scott was asking me about this. It looks like a little shockwave almost coming out, but this is the leading edge of just this big push of energy. Embedded in that is a tropical wave. You got some Saharan air in there, just part of that very strong West African monsoon that on the northern part of it, the winds are coming from east to west. Down in the lower levels, the winds are switching back around. It's a circulation. That's what it is. The whole thing's a big circulation. And that's that leading edge, almost like a front, if you will. Cold front is a change between air masses. The border between those is the front. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. That was a great question, Scott. And do let me know what program that was. He did a screenshot and sent it to me in Patreon. And it was intriguing. I was like, ooh, that almost looks like radar. But we know there's no radar sites out here, not in the Cabo Verde Islands. But anyway, really interesting to see, and I'm surprised that this didn't get mentioned. And I think it will at the 8 p.m. I do. And I'll show you why in just a moment. Hey, look at that. Look at that little naked swirl right there. What's it doing up there? I mean, later in the year, that would probably develop and be a name storm, adding to the 25-plus name storms we're probably going to have. Because the Atlantic's going to just keep on warming up so that everything is toasty all the way up into the subtropics near the Azores. I mean, it's only early August. Come on. Anyhow, in the Eastern Pacific, as I alluded to, here's 91E. No worries for you folks along the Mexican coast, and even the Baja. Still, you're lucky, lucky, lucky. With everything else we got going on, at least you don't have to worry about tropical cyclone troubles just yet. I'll show you. I'll prove it to you in just a moment in the GFS output from 12Z today. This is the area in the middle of the Atlantic right there, 0% chance of development. And that is basically this area in here. And there's just not much happening with it. But you see the area farther to the east didn't get any love from the Hurricane Center, the area that's right here. It looks pretty healthy. Definitely has some mid-level rotation to it. If we look at the vorticity signature, there's 91E there trying to bundle up. There you go. There's that look. Some vorticity and energy with the system that did get the 0% yellow. But then the system coming in here, we'll see. I bet it gets mentioned at 8 o'clock. What do I bet? I just bet it does. We'll see. All right, so in the Eastern Pacific, this is the GFS from 12Z today. And there's the Baja right there, and the coast of Pacific Mexico. You get the idea. And this is the area that we're talking about right in here, trying to bundle up. And this is the this particular section of the atmosphere is 5,000 feet up. And we see the wind at 5,000 feet as well. I'm just changing it up a little, plus mean sea level pressure. All right, so about almost a mile up in the atmosphere. And it gives you an idea of the wind field and just the overall look of things. So let's move this out to 5 days, and you can see that system gradually gets better organized, becomes a named storm, probably going to be a hurricane, and it's comfortably away. It moves away from the Baja and Mexico. So then it dies out over the cooler water out here, and then this very active. Look at that wind shift. The wind is going like this. It comes around, that monsoon trough setting up, this active Kelvin wave coming through, creating anomalous westerly wind flow over here, very much like a monsoonal pattern, but this is temporary. The monsoon off of Africa, the Western African monsoon, is a semi-permanent feature, and it's very strong this year. But this is remarkable. The trades come across, they switch direction, they weaken, and now they're going this way, and that anomalous wind flow down at the 5,000 foot level helps to generate the spin of these systems. It helps to facilitate that vorticity that we see. Eric Webb talks about it a lot, Dr. Ventris, and that will eventually, this pulse here, will move over into the Atlantic Basin by the latter part of the month, and then, like I said, with the whole audience thing, the show will start. All right, so you better be ready. We've talked about it enough. I'm not going to show you every time everybody says something about how busy it's going to be. We know. It's just, now it's a matter of where they're going to go. The hurricanes are coming. Now we got to figure out where they're going to go. And so far, in the Atlantic, not much to worry about. There's the system there that the Hurricane Center did not outlook, and I'm not besmirching them. It's okay for me to ask, I wonder why they didn't think that it was necessary to put a tropical weather outlook up for that system. It's okay, I'm not hassling them. And there's the other system that's 0% right now. And you notice there's no other little bends or anything sitting in the trades or what we call a perturbation in the overall pressure field or vorticity. But there is there, you can clearly see that. And then this pocket of energy here. So let's just look at this for the next 7 days. This was 5 days. Here we'll go 7. So let's move this out. 24 hours out. There you go. It definitely increases in the vorticity signature. Counterclockwise rotation in the wind field. This gets a little more energized. These things are trying, but we are almost there. It's almost ready to happen. And then it closes off, going out to 36 hours. Some of those winds, that tropical wave will get outlooked. I promise you. It's coming. It's just a matter of time. But there's still just enough, like I said, limiting dry air out here that these systems are just not quite ready. And that's good. That way we don't have 30 named storms this year. We're going to have enough. And by 72 hours, it's still there. But you notice nothing really comes together. There's day 5. Huge, massive, sprawling subtropical high all across the Atlantic. So as these features eventually do develop, they're going to get all the way across more often than not. And I'm going to say one thing that's really concerning. There are a few people rightly pointing out the negative conditions in the eastern Atlantic to central Atlantic, that dry air, the subsidence, etc., that we haven't had a Cape Verde hurricane yet, as we call it. But I caution you. Let's just look at this real quick. This is a little lesson. When you've done this as long as I have, you start picking up on things. So we have this very vigorous tropical wave. That's real. We can't deny that. Big piece of energy sitting right there. It's got rotation to it. You can already see So if it does not develop out in this area, it doesn't just go away. This isn't an El Nino year where trades are screaming from east to west in the Atlantic, and then on the opposite end of that, upper level winds are screaming from west to east out of the tropical Pacific, like, this, cutting everything apart. No, 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 no. This year, everything is favorable with just a little bit of limiting dry air and subsidence right now in the tropical Atlantic. So what my concern is, what doesn't develop out here, basically let's draw a line in the sand. There's 50 degrees west longitude. If it doesn't develop east of 50 and it develops west of 50 longitude, it's got a better chance of getting over here or over here or over here instead of developing here and going out like that, right? Like 2010. So just keep that in mind. The later they develop, and this is not something that, wow, Mark's a genius. He figured that out. It's just duh. We all should know this. So when they don't develop early, they become a problem later. That was a huge factor in 2005. Katrina's genesis was a dead tropical wave that came back to life in the Bahamas, and look, it ended up making history. Okay? Rita got its start in here. Wilma got its start over here. Even Emily, Cat 5 Emily, didn't start as a powerful hurricane out here. Its peak intensity was over here, if I'm not mistaken. So just keep that in mind. 04 was a little different. Ivan and Francis, yes, they were long track. Irma, long track. Each season's different. But when I see that little stuttering that they do in the eastern Atlantic, it worries me that they can get farther to the west before they fully blossom. So as we look back at day 5, not much out there, but the impulses of energy, they are there, and you can pick them out. And this takes us out to August 13th for what it's worth. All right, so yesterday I put on YouTube publicly the first episode of my new series called The Hurricane Highway, a original series that I've been producing since the end of last year that replaces our Tracking the Hurricanes movies, films, whatever you want to call it. I love making these things. I've been doing them since 2004. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but the end product is remarkable. And the technology that we have today, the cinematography, I do my own music, and I like to brag about that. I love film music, and being able to score my stuff is just a remarkable dream come true. And so I knew, I wanted to challenge myself after last year's hurricane season, and so I wanted to do a series, episodic series. And I wanted a new name and everything, and I chose the Hurricane Highway because that's exactly what it is. It's this metaphorical and literal journey down this amazing hurricane highway. And along that highway, we've met people, we've seen things, the people that helped me out. I mean, it's 25 years that I've been doing this. Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? And, right after college, I literally, and you got to watch this first episode and you learn all about it. I got my degree and I went to work immediately, 25 years ago. And now we're able to do things using technology, getting closer than ever before, right on the front row where people just cannot go. And I know there are other hurricane chasers out there. You know who they are. And they film these things by hand. And some of them are putting remote equipment out as well. And that's great. We started doing the unmanned camera thing 15 years ago. Back in 2005. That's when it started. And what we have done with it over the years is truly remarkable. And that is what this documentary series is all about. The journey down, and journeys plural. And so we look back at 2019's hurricane season, but it's through a different perspective. I'm going to use flashbacks, where there maybe we're going, Dorian, for example. Episode 5 is all about Hurricane Dorian. And there are other events that led up to Dorian's success, if you will. Tropical Storm Barry, which is episode 3. Okay, that'll drop in a couple of weeks. There was a Barry in 2001 that Jesse Bass and myself went after. You know, you'll see, it's flashback. So you show old archival stuff that built on everything block by block to get us to where we are today. And just kind of jumping to the end here. You know, some of the people, you know, there's Eddie. Eddie Smith was a partner of ours, good friend of mine. There's Jamie Arnold. He's the chief meteorologist at WMBF. These are the people that helped me along the way. And there's that old footage. This is from Floyd, Hurricane Floyd. And, you know, the ending of it here, at the end of this episode, you know, kind of ties it all together that we go through time. And so episode 1 ends right at the end of 2018 through this little montage music video right here. And the music's great. I mean, I'm going to brag about it. I freaking love it. I think you will too. And you see this rapid evolution in this montage at the end. And boom, we're ready for 2019. And in that, we start with the episode 2, which will drop next week, called Next Play. What do we do next? What's the next play in the playbook? So it's called the Hurricane Highway. It is supported 100% by our crowdfunding group. That is remarkable. Our patronage, the people that support it, like patrons support the arts. That's what this has allowed me to do. And if you want to become a part of that, especially at some of our higher levels, you actually get to become a part of history. And what I mean by that is your name goes into the credits on some of these levels. $25 and up, you become a supporter for the hurricane season, preferably for the year, because we want sustaining members, right? These are your interviews and everything. But then you start getting to the people that help to produce it. The producers, the consultants, and the patrons. The people behind, you know, the investors, if you will. And you've seen this from other independent films. And there you go. You want your name there in a future Hurricane Highway, the season 2, that's how you do it. You become one of our patrons at the $25 level, and you become a part of it. And, you know, that's forever. This will live on YouTube until there's not a YouTube anymore. And by the way, all 5 episodes that I have completed are already available to all of our patrons. That's the early access that they get. Okay, and I provide a link. It's sitting on our web server on our HurricaneTrack Insider site. We've got this whole gallery of all of our original stuff in there, almost like Netflix. We've built our own original gallery. I'm very proud of it. It's really neat. And that is what part of this Patreon thing is all about. All right, so I wanted to show you that. Episode 1, now streaming, as they say, on YouTube. It's also on Amazon Prime Video. I put it on there as well. No commercials, no Google ads, because it is supported by the awesome patronage of our support group, the crowdfunding. What an amazing thing. So check it out if you haven't. Feel free to share it. You can share it with anybody you like. No limitations. Put it on your own message board and embed it in your own website. I want people to see it. That's the bottom line. And it is supported by these great people right here. All right? Hey, don't forget I'm on Twitter at HurricaneTrack. Follow along there. Been doing more and more with Twitter this year than ever before, especially out in the field. I'll continue to do that. And I'm on YouTube. I mean, the whole brand is HurricaneTrack. You know that. And, hey, just real quick, I'm going to be doing more with Facebook. It's just hard. I don't have a social media person. Don't have the budget for that yet. And when I say it's hard, I'm not complaining. I never complain. Not publicly. But, you know, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, I'm good. I'm not going to worry about Instagram. I really can't contribute to Instagram that's going to be meaningful. Snapchat, nah. TikTok, no way. My daughter was, just forget it. So those 3 platforms fit me the best. Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. But if you follow me on Facebook, follow the HurricaneTrack brand. Yeah, I will be doing more there. Nothing, different. It's pretty much the same stuff on all 3. But if you prefer Facebook, we will be streaming live on Facebook from our vehicle cam and our composite video that our Mike Cornelius, one of our supporters, helps put together. Anyway, we will be doing more on Facebook. That's what I was trying to say. I could have just said that and left it at that. All right, I'm going to shut up so I don't go long because I said it was going to be short, and I think it was shorter than normal. You guys have a good rest of your Saturday. The main thing is I appreciate you tuning in. That means a lot to me. I am Mark Sudduth. I'll talk to you some more tomorrow.